If you've been making music for any amount of time from home, then you probably have a plugin folder that has a ton of must-have plugins that you bought that you never use. Today, we're gonna address this plugin problem that I think is making us worse musicians and music makers, and a reframing that I heard from one of my favorite mix engineers on what to do about it. Now, for context for this video, I have kind of put mixing to the side for the past few years and just focused on producing my music, and then I'll outsource the mixes to others. This is a great way to go because you can just bypass this whole thing. You can just go give it to somebody else. They can make it sound good. It's off of your hands. You get it back, and hopefully you get a result that's awesome. The problem with this is as your output starts to increase, hiring a mixing engineer can be very, very expensive. And there's a challenge because you usually get a few revisions. When you get the mix back, you may hear some things that you want to tweak, and then you go back and forth and you get happy with the mix. But then if you're like me, I'll start to hear other things that I would like to change after I've already closed out that mixing session, and I would just love to go in and tweak. So that level of like OCD-ness I have with my music, I've decided that I'm gonna start jumping back into mixing, and I'm starting to try to figure out how to set up my mix environment. And part of that is investing in education for myself. I've been looking at other platforms to learn mixing, and the big challenge with that is you'll be learning these concepts and these techniques, and the person teaching will pull up all these different types of third-party plugins, and now I have this like, oh man, I need to get that plugin, and I need to get that plugin. And then I start to get away from actually making music, and I'm back into this researching plugins, watching YouTube videos on plugins, getting the demo for that plugin and trying to listen to all the little nuances, which is all great and fine, but it's taken me away from actually making music. It's making me get into this like technical mindset, which doesn't help with creativity, and is definitely not making my music creation output go any faster. Now, this is a huge problem. Not only am I planning on spending more money, which I could just use to outsource another mix, and then I can just get a good mix back, but it's also making me get way too many different plugins. I'm looking at way too many different plugins instead of actually focusing on what the plugin actually is there for, and that is to help you make a song that connects with an audience. It's a tool. And a compressor plugin, yes, there's plenty of different compressors at different tones, different EQs have different tones. All these things are great. I'm not denying the fact that there's colors and shades to all these different tools. That's why I keep buying plugins myself. I'm not saying that like I'm just never gonna buy a plugin again. I can't guarantee that. In fact, I can tell you right now that I'm looking at a list of plugins that I want to purchase because I'm looking at mixing in a different way. Now you might be like, wait, you're telling me that buying plugins is bad, now you're saying you're gonna buy more plugins. Yeah, I get it. That's the conundrum we all live in. I'm not perfect. This is a weak spot for me. I love software. Software's so easy to buy too. So, I mean, what can you do? I'm right here just wanting to explain what I've been going through this past week or two as I've been getting close to finishing my record. There's a few more songs that need to get mixed, and I'm planning on mixing it myself. So I've been really kind of overanalyzing and thinking about it and trying to set up my space to do this as best as possible. I'm starting right here for the centerpiece, which is the console one. Jury is still out. I'm still playing around with it. I haven't really dived too deep into it. But this gets to my point of the reframing of what mixing should be and how to approach it, because one of the challenges I have with mixing, I like it, but sometimes I feel like it's not like playing an instrument. It's in front of the computer. I've been using, a mouse, the keyboard, and while it's great and all, it just kind of feels a little bit too much like I'm just clicking around, and I can sometimes get lost in the software, the DAW, the technical stuff, and I'm not actually focused on the art. And this is what I'm trying to fix, and this is what I actually just heard mix engineer Michael Brauer talk about, who's an amazing mix engineer. He's done a lot of great records, Coldplay, John Mayer, a bunch. I love his mixing, and he was talking about how he looks at mixing, like all of the tools, all the pieces, is kind of like the engine of a car that you drive. You get into the car and you drive, but you're not thinking about your engine, your transmission. You're not thinking about any of that. That's pre-built. It does what it's supposed to do. You just getting you drive. You're not thinking about it. And he likes to approach mixing the same way. He has his template with all of his plugins and stuff that he likes to use as a starting spot. So that way he can just get into the driver's seat and go. He's not thinking about all the individual components. And it puts him more into a creative musical space than just sitting there clicking around and trying to build a mix from scratch, which I know everybody talks about templates. I'm very guilty of doing this, where I'll have kind of like my routing, but I never really have my plugins set. So I'll just be kind of building as I go, which really is not an effective way of doing it. That's kind of like saying I'm going to go to my car and I'm going to start trying to change things before I turn on the engine to get going. Like, I'm not going to get to my destination. I'm so focused now on how my car is built. And we do that same thing with mixing. So this video, really, I want to reframe this idea of mix. This is what I'm doing for myself, and I just wanted to share it with y'all out there. If this is something that you've been thinking about doing, getting into mixing yourself, if you have been mixing and you just haven't been getting the results you like, maybe take a step back, look at what is it that you need to build your car. If you're just looking at, like a channel strip plugin for individual inserts just to make sure you can shape your tone, a bus compressor, maybe some saturation for the bus, EQ, like this. Think about what it is that you need to get you to your destination of a final song that connects with your audience. The tools, yes, you'll have different preferences. Things will come out. You will still be swayed. You may want to try different things. But if you can create the car that you can go to again and again, then in theory, it should be a lot more fun and easy and quick to make your mix happen. And you might be less likely to want to go down the rabbit hole of buying more plugins, because then you got to figure out how to make it work within the template you already have. And if you're getting results you like, you're probably gonna be a lot less likely to feel like you need that next plugin. So that's what I'm up to right now. I've been trying to kind of put together that engine, so to speak, so I can just jump in and start mixing and having more of it like an instrument and learning how to do it musically than doing it like a technician, because I feel like that's the challenge that we have as home recording artists is we have to wear both hats. We go through technical hat and the creative hat. And if you're like me, the technical hat can sometimes overtake me and I lose my creativity. I get lost in the weeds. I go down rabbit holes I shouldn't go down. I start really kind of obsessing over what I want instead of just getting back to work and making more music, which is why I would do this. We want to make music that people can connect with and that we're happy with. And we have all the tools at our disposal right now. We have way too many tools at our disposal, and that's the problem. That's the plugin problem. That's the software problem. If there's been any light bulb moments for you in this, please let me know in the comments below. I will give an update on the Softube Console 1 as well and see how that works for me. I'm still playing around with it. There's things I like. There's things I'm still kind of struggling with. I did buy that unit with my own money. Softube did not send me that. So any feedback I give you, anything I say about it, it's going to be all my opinion. Hit me up in the comments below. Let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know if you have succumbed to the plugin problem, or if you're beginning in your journey and you're starting to think you need to start buying more third-party plugins. I would say just wait. Work with what you got, get your system going, and then start plugging in the components that you need to get you to where you want to go faster. All right, so that's the big idea. That's the hot take. Plugins, mixing, how do we make it more artistic? You got to build the car and then just drive that car to where you're not even thinking about driving it. That's what Michael Brauer says as he does. And he's a really great mixing engineer, so I'm going to trust what he has to say about that. Obviously, you got to learn how to drive, the race car. You can't just go into one and drive it and think you're going to be okay. But that's what we're here to do and learn. I hope this was helpful for you. And as well, before we jump, if you made it all the way to this point of the video, well, thank you. I just want to let you know that I do have in plans a workshop to go through vocal editing as well as some other instrumentational editing for getting your files prepped to go to mix, because I think that's one of the most critical things in music production, especially when it comes to the vocals. And so if you're interested in learning about that, click on the link in the description below, go over to my website, Song Production Pros, and sign up for the wait list, and we'll be in touch. That'll help me know that there's interest, and then that'll get me inspired to really put that curriculum together and launch that workshop. Hope you have a great day. See you on the next one.